So last week, we started a new series based on Barbara Brown Taylor's work. She is a retired Episcopal priest. She is a theologian, a New York Times bestseller author, and college educator of theology. And one of her books is Learning How to Walk in the Dark. And so last week we explored, what automatically comes, what meaning do we assign to the word dark and darkness? And we looked at your own reflections, we looked at the societal, cultural, religious view that is held about darkness. And usually the common thread is it's seen through a negative lens, so to speak. And so today's lesson is let there be light and let there be dark. And so it's at both end consciousness. And a both end consciousness comes online in the level of consciousness or meme in the spiral dynamics model in the yellow zone. And you're like, what the heck is she talking about? So I'm going to break it down because I've been talking a lot about this both end consciousness, our humanity and divinity, and our power of orders, what we call forth to balance, find harmony, or not harmony, but how do we flow in what is paradox? And a lot of the spiritual journey is paradox. And so I've mentioned it before, spiral dynamics. So I am going to dare to give just a Reader's Digest brief overview when I mention that understanding, and in the fall it is my desire to bring that forth as a workshop. And I think it's really important, not only for our own spiritual evolution, but it is important in leadership, it's important in communities, it's important in where we are in the world. So what the heck is it? Anybody hear of it before? From me, okay. So I was sharing with Karen for a little bit that I have a tendency to, the practical spirituality, if it can't help you, where the rubber meets the road, to be broken down in a way that could A, be understood, or A, this is great theory, but how does this matter in my life? And so I think I have a way that I've been called to do that. And sometimes, though, I can get in the weeds. So it's my hope that I don't get into the weeds. And it is my desire, as I said, to see why am I bringing this up? And when we're talking, let there be light, let there be dark, the both end consciousness. And I'm going to ask you later, so why might this be important to that subject itself and how it might be important in your own life? And so spiral dynamics is a psychological, sociocultural, and spiritual model that looks at the people and societies, their levels of consciousness. We talk about that we are here to evolve, right, in consciousness. But it also looks at the level of consciousness through what is the predominant value system, which is underneath the invisible force that is beneath behavior that is showing up in you and in the world. So it's based on our level of consciousness, the predominant value systems and worldview. Now notice it's a spiral. It is not linear. So when we see a spiral, that means it's fluid, right? One builds on the other. One is not better than the other. It's just more complex. And as we evolve in consciousness, to truly evolve, we must transcend and include. And we include within us, you know how we say we stand on the shoulders of our ancestors? So all of it, but true evolution is where we take the strengths, we learn how to include, to synthesize the learning, the strengths from each as we evolve. And sometimes we are visiting another stage, right? How many of us sometimes, when we're hurting, we go back to the childhood understanding of the God, right? Why are you doing this, me? We think it's about maybe God has forgotten us or punished us, and we can go slip back into that understanding. And so each level, they also call it memes because it's a spiral, and sometimes levels can have that the term levels can almost make us think of ladder, right? Going up this way. So there's also, we call them memes. And it is the predominant worldview. How to cope with what is happening is what we see outpicturing. And the evolution comes about through crisis and challenge. The worldview, the value system is no longer working, and it's causing that chaos. And so we live in that darkness of the unknown. What is wanting to emerge? What are we here to learn? How many times I've heard beautiful Paula say, challenge is opportunity. And so this is about the evolution of opportunity. We don't always like it. And so again, levels are not good or bad, they just become more complex. There's also, each is a level or meme, each color, going all the way from beige to turquoise. And then there's also tier 1 and tier 2. Tier 1 is beige, all the way up to the green, okay? And then tier 2 is yellow and turquoise. So when we're in the first tier, all the way from beige to green, each of those, wherever you're operating, and again, you're bringing along, transcending from the bottom, is that thought that they think this is the right worldview. And so we have this polarity of, no, this is the way it should be. No, you're wrong. And so we get stuck, and then there's much conflict and crisis. When you begin to get into yellow tier consciousness or meme, it's like, oh, we look at the whole picture. You can look at the whole picture. You can see that in order for us to evolve, we cannot be polarized. How do we start to look at this as a system? What am I here to learn from the other? Like, for example, we're going to get to, and I'll give you an example when we get here. So here is an overview of what the worldview is called, the color it's assigned, and then kind of the motto of that. So at the bottom, but we're listing it here, if you can go to the next slide, please. So I'm starting from the bottom, but it's going to be listed on the top. So at the beige, right, in the beginning of humanity, it was the survival stage. Instinct, basic needs, and the motto is, I'll do whatever we can do to stay alive. When we move into purple, now we always still want to know how to survive, so we're not going to kick that to the wayside, are we? But we move now. When we start to do maybe farming and we're less nomadic and we learn how to keep ourself safe, it was about tribal safety, still ritual, ancestor worship, and it was about, we see the world as mystery, and we still do, But that's where you create many myths and stories about why things happen. And the motto is to keep the spirits happy and the tribes safe. And so as we're leaning into red, the power of the gods, and this is, if I want it, I'll take it. We see anybody operating from, even maybe us at times, right? We see that in our government right now for some individuals. So it's about power, strength, dominance, impulsivity, the male patriarchal. Then we move into blue. It's about truth and force. This is where in the Bible, in the Old Testament or the Hebrew scriptures, where Moses comes on, and yes, it goes from beige into the blue, but he brings us the Mosaic law and order, the 10 Commandments. And it's about morality. If you do what is right, you're in good favor with God. If you don't, you might meet God's wrath, with locusts, and even though that's also interpreted with plagues, interpreted metaphysically. But when we're in that literal sense, we see God's law as obey and command, and it's still attached to, and it's not right or wrong, but a God out there that we're trying to please, win favor for, and it's more of a worshiping, not more of a reference. Traditional religion is based a lot in blue. Then we move to orange, it's strive and drive. So that's about meritocracy, and that is still expressing in the world today. It's about achievement, success, rationality, autonomy, achieve success and make it happen. And green, the human bond, that is about community, harmony, equality, empathy, love one another, seek harmony for all, justice for all. Civil rights movement sprang out of this. And when we see people standing for the rights and justice for all, this is green, the green meme, so to speak. Now we're moving into yellow tier consciousness, fluidity, integration, systems thinking, flexibility. We live fully and we flow with life systems. How does this all connect? This is where we begin to want to understand paradox, both end. Law is not rigid. Law, it's fluid. This is where we begin to see people who say, I want to be spiritually fluid. I want to understand this is how I can experience the divine in many different ways, coming down to the essence of it, whether it's in earth or Buddhism. So it's spiritually being fluid and plural, not right or wrong. In the green, we have interfaith movement. It's like, I want to know about your faith, but I'm going to stay here in my silo, and I'll let you have the space on my platform, but I have no desire, maybe, or I'm not ready there, maybe yet, to have that interspiritual experience, which begins in the yellow consciousness, so to speak. And then we move into turquoise, which is about holism, unity consciousness, planetary healing. We are all one. The universe is a living whole. I am that I am that I am. And so, looking at this, again, we're going to take a deeper dive. Well, you know what, let me backtrack, because I want to see, where do you think we are in 2025 right now? How many of you, what memes might you see showing up right now? Kirsten?
Both orange and green.
Orange and green, how so?
Well, it seems to be a very strive and drive, a society in general, make your own thing happen.
Yeah, that's okay.
successful, it's your own fault, like you can make it happen, you know? And then there's also a consciousness evolving of love one another and seek harmony for all. Those two stand out the most for me now.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? So there's only enough, there's only, you have to compete. There's only enough slots open to get into college. You have to have a certain percentage. There is that competitive meritocracy, which is very much present, and green. So the predominant one, believe it right now, the predominant meme, they're all like, again, expressing, especially orange, but the predominant, Ken Wilber, so let me backtrack. So Ken Wilber brought forward the work of Don Beck and Christopher Cohen's. And so Ken Wilber says right now we're in the green meme, predominant green meme, and that, but yes, we still have orange expressing. What else do we see expressing? Lindy?
So I would like to think that we're solidly in the green, but when you have one of the most powerful people, the richest person in the world, that was put in one of the most powerful positions by the most powerful, arguably, political person in the world, saying that the weakness of Western civilization is empathy. Can we really even say we're solidly in the green?
Well, that's one individual, right? And individuals.
But that's a whole thing.
Okay, so let me backtrack. It is not one individual. It is not one individual. So I'm gonna be jumping back and forth. So this is good, rich talk. So let's go to the turbulent convergent zone slide, guys. That's number 10. I'm gonna have you jump around a little bit. Yes.
Pastor, point of clarification. I'm not quite understanding one of the terms you're using. Is it meme, M-E-M-E?
Yes, M-E-M-E.
Okay, and could you define that?
Meme is it's another way of saying, like, instead of calling it a level, it's a meme is a way of expressing. Okay, so we are in what they call turbulent convergent zone. So you're right, Lindy, it's not one person. I misspoke. So when we're experiencing, remember we say we're in a paradigm shift, when we have to, through chaos and conflict, we evolve. So right now, there is an interplay of multiple levels that are, right? And when we're in tier 1, it is my worldview is the only worldview. And if somebody's trying to share something different, I may have a little chemicalization. I might get annoyed. I might not want to listen to it. I might think, like, what the heck are we why are we talking about this? Or I may even feel fearful, like, oh my God, is this spiritual anymore? Because we want to be in the old paradigm or the old meme. So right now, we are experiencing so much turbulence. How many of you would agree? And one of the reasons is because of the cultural worldview, our value systems. There is that interplay of digging heels. And so we're in that space of where we're being asked to evolve and transcend, and do that from a higher place in consciousness. So I'm going to go back again to that chart, please, that has all the colors. Thank you. So we see the red expressing. It's what I want, when I have it. I want to have dominance over you. It's my way or the highway. And then we can see that in not just in our government, in other areas. We see the green. We see the green in equal rights, justice for all, social action, interfaith, love one another. We see people standing in solidarity for those who are being targeted. and we see the orange. That is our whole business model still. It's not about, we're starting to see a little bit about cooperation, but it is still in the model of achieve, meritocracy, and pretty much the competitive model. Where do you think unity, new thought came on? In what level? I'll just call them levels. When it first started. Close. Actually orange. Because it's based on I could manifest and achieve. It's different. It's not about a competition here. Okay, so it's just, so we have to look at it in a more broader context. I can achieve and get what I am wanting by aligning my science comes on board. It's not just about a God in the sky, but science, there's metaphysics comes on board. And it's like I can achieve my desired manifestation result by aligning my consciousness in the right orderly way. That's what divine order is. Idea, mind, expression. And then it evolved into green, into community. We have heart-centered metaphysics, knowing that the power of community and the power of not just our thoughts, but our unified heart mind, so to speak. The heart compassion. And now unity is also in this turbulent zone, but I think it's moving a little bit, where we're starting to learn. The first time I heard of spiral dynamics was at a Unity Worldwide conference. Learning about, so yellow, we start to learn about systems, learning about both and to surrender, because let's just say the right affirmation. Don't talk about anything negative. Don't talk about anything dark, because you're going to energize it. But if we do not, it lives in the basement of our consciousness, and it is still fueling things in our lives. So then we move into systems theory and realizing that order is about how do we navigate both and coming on into the level of consciousness called turquoise is now it's not just interfaith, it's interspiritual, everything. I am that I am that I am. So sometimes if you're stuck in the blue meme and you hear somebody saying, no, you are God, they're like, that's blasphemy. Because where are they still grounded in? In the blue meme. And again, this is not right or wrong, but do you understand what I'm trying to say? It's their worldview. And so what happens? Conflict happens. So what do you think is me surrendering in consciousness, knowing we're in this paradigm shift and people saying, are we there yet? You told me like 4 years ago we're in a paradigm shift, but not knowing that this evolutionary cycle takes years and centuries, sometimes decades, hundreds of years. And so anywhere in our community, we're going to have people who have a predominantly what? Possibly different meaning, that we have them all. So how could this, even though this might not be like, oh, this is a lot coming at you, and we're going to have a little bit more in depth, but how to having this introduction, how might this be helpful or not helpful? You don't really care about it. Jen.
Well, almost like relating to what you just said is knowing that, if we're in different memes at the same time, I guess we could hold space knowing that others are going to get to a different place eventually, and that it just might take some time.
Right, and it's not about judgment, it's a way we can understand. And how many of you have an appeal to both and? Anybody besides me? Yes, living that. Because our human minds can't, that's when we enter moving a little bit, understanding metaphysics. We take metaphysics with us. We don't We don't throw it away. We need blue order. We need some kind of structure. There's a format to the service. There's a time we show up. So again, we transcend and include, taking the strengths from each one. Do we not still believe that we stand on the shoulders of our ancestors? Yes. So now, holding this, how does this help us in the title? Why do you think, let there be light, let there be dark? How does this empower us? Carol.
Just understand the concept, there is no right or wrong. You're going to feel both. And I think giving yourself permission to feel both.
Yes.
And not judge either.
Yeah.
Is the liberty, is the freedom.
Right. And in just a moment, I'm going to talk about what is solar, what she calls, Barbara Taylor Brown, solar spirituality and lunar spirituality. Because a lot of times we prefer to just talk about the positive or have space for that. And sometimes what is absence in community is developing those spaces and those experiences for the other. So I'm going to get to that. So before I do, which meme are you most attracted to or level are you most attracted to? I said attracted to. It's not right or wrong. You don't have to share if you don't choose to. Carol.
It was very obvious to me how much I'm a blue from my upbringing.
Mm-hmm. How many of you can relate to that?
And just that was where I lived and that's where I came from. And it's my evolution is coming from that. But when I hear that, I'm so much a obedience to the order. I see it.
Yeah, you see it.
I'm
And
aware
again,
of it.
we all have this within us. Anybody else? Which one? Lawrence.
I definitely relate to the turquoise. As I read the whole thing, that's where I am mostly. And when you're a turquoise, you include all of the other colors. Absolutely, all of them are included within it.
Yes.
For me.
Yeah. Okay. Which one, Kirsten? And on Zoom, you can put it in chat. I'm sorry.
So
Anybody, just 1 second, Kirsten, I apologize. So which one meme or level are you attracted to on Zoom? Put it in the chat box. Go ahead.
So attracted to definitely yellow and turquoise, both of them probably more yellow. And I wanted to say, I personally know at least one person or groups of people that are at this very moment in any one of them, including Stay Alive, right? So I personally have been in every one of them, I would say.
Yes.
And I would say I might still sometimes be in every one of them every given week.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, and it's well said. Anything on Zoom? Can you just hand the mic to him?
Excuse me. Deborah says that she's in turquoise. As a holistic nurse, I embraced this concept 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And we know a lot of times, thank you, and I'm saying this, Deborah, in response, we have people who come in who we call pioneers or ahead of their time. Jesus came in, right? He was grounded in Jewish tradition, and he's like, wait a minute, you're not going to tell me that I can't heal or be with somebody on the Sabbath day because it is the blue law. So he upset the whole apple cart. So what happens when we have people who come on who are pioneers? They become, when we are conflicted, remember at the deepest level, chemicalization is, it is flight. If it's way out of our comfort zone, right? There's our belief system, there's the adjacent possible. This comes from Paul Hasselbeck's model of chemicalization. We have our belief system, the adjacent, our worldview, our value system. We have it, the predominant one, and then we have the adjacent possible. Oh, like many of you are like, oh, I might be here, but oh, I'm leaning into this, and I carry them all with me. And then chemicalization, adjacent, not possible. Fight, flight, freeze, flee, and kill. I'm not kidding you. Wars. And many times, as there's this push through, right? The green is here, we're maybe going into turquoise, everybody's equal, and it's threatening for those who have not been ready to embrace that in consciousness. And so they want to pull the whole worldview back. Boom. Major conflict, war. Do you see it? So sometimes when we say, are we ever going to learn? Are we ever going to learn? Like, we're still fighting with one another. Know that sometimes when we are in that ready, that we're being called to evolve, and it is way out there for many, even if it's a minority, it can create havoc. And havoc in your own life. And so, understanding this, so now I would like, just think about where you think you are. I think we've covered that. Pastor Anthony, did you want to say something?
I'm so sorry, Pastor. Yes, once again. I'm sorry, Pastor. Once again, point of clarification. I missed the definition of, is it chemicalization?
Chemicalization is a unity term that I've shared. And it was coined by Emily Cady, who was one of Unity's first authors. Her book is Lessons in Truth, and she speaks about it in there. It's when an idea that we have butts head with a new belief, and it causes some discomfort within us. And then how I used it here, and how Reverend Paul Hasselbeck, a Unity teacher many moons later, gave us the newer understanding of we have a worldview or belief system, and then we have an adjacent possible. And we're like, I feel a little uncomfortable. This is new. It's like new shoes. I like them. I'm going to wear them. I'm going to break them in. I feel a little uncomfortable, but I'm not going to throw them away or bring them back. But then we move into the adjacent not possible, and those shoes are going back. These are the worst things I ever had. That's the fight, flight, freeze, flee, and even kill. War. Okay, so now what I want to do is move into, so when I talk about this both end, and what I'm juiced about this is, in the fall, I would like to go deeper into this because I think this is important for our evolution as a community. And awakening and saying yes to evolving. Not that I'm going to be, so just want to park that there. So some of the things that I'm going to be bringing forth, maybe through the course of might have caused some uncomfortability. And for me, it's about evolution. It's not about me not understanding or trying to throw something away. one of the things that I could do as a minister is just do what I did before because it's easy. But I know that there's a paradigm shift. It's happening in me. And so surrendering into the dark for me is, blue wants me to give me the structure, give me the rules, how we used to do it, or the orange, how we could get ahead. How can I manifest this new community? Give it to me now. And the void is that place where we're between evolving. And I say, let me not go to this, but we go and say, what is wanting to be expressed? I am listening. I am wanting to know. Oh, we're being called to a both. What does that mean to be open, to be spiritually fluid, to call people like Jesus did years ago and other masters into the unitive consciousness that we're still trying to figure out today? What does that mean? And so when we sing songs that include names or words that everybody from every religion can understand, where are we going? Into the yellow and turquoise. I'm not telling you you're bad and blue, but I have an interest for everybody to understand it in a way that is presentable and honoring. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. Can you tell I have a little zeal about this? So now I want to talk about moving into this solar, you know what? Button it. I have given myself permission to say, what I was going to go into next is the both end, solar spirituality and lunar spirituality. Let there be light, let there be dark. And how I want to have, moving into the fall, opportunities of expression here where we, besides roses and thorns, have circles. That's why I went to spiritual direction training, to learn how to hold a container for the soul to speak and to be in communion so people don't feel like I have to leave the church, that there's a place and a ministry for that. It is why it's leading me to go through grief training and whatever trainings you may have so that we can incorporate that. So hold that. I see the time and I never know how much sharing there's going to be. And so instead of moving into the solar and the lunar, the brief explanations, I'm going to pause here because this was, believe it or not, it's always evolving through when I get the idea. And then this morning I was creating a new slides as things were bubbling up. And so I'm going to end here for today and going to take us into meditation so we know what's coming next week. And so we are going to go to I think Lawrence, sure. I'm fluid. I learned how to dance with you, Lawrence. Okay, so let us gently close our eyes. And bring your awareness to your body. Being present. Whatever is alive. Noticing any sensations alive. As you scan your body temple from head to toe. Breathing into those places that call for tender, loving care. And greeting those areas with the words, I love you. I love you. Bringing your awareness to your heart space. And if it feels right, place one or both of your hands over your heart. And breathing in deep and slow. Breathing out deep and slow. Allowing for the unification of your heart-mind. And allowing these words to fill you. Amid the swirling currents of change, I stand rooted in divine wisdom, strength, and faith. I honor the sacred unfolding of every soul, every stage, every story. I honor the unfolding of my soul. Being patient and loving as I say yes to the light and the dark in my life, surrendering to the mystery of it all. And I say yes, oh yes, to moving out of my comfort zone, with the desire, with the zeal, the passion, to include and transcend. And oh, the one life expresses through me, as me, through many forms. All are evolving as all are held in compassionate understanding. I am a harmonizer, a bridge, a conscious presence in the great awakening, centered in truth. I welcome the birth of a more whole and holy world. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen. And breathing in conscious awareness, and breathing out. Giving thanks for your presence and for your ability to say yes to life in all of its messiness. Namaste.